Hip-hop may be one of the world's most influential cultural forces and one of the biggest exports from the United States. But it's not every day you see the likes of Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, Remy Ma at a house party hosted by the Vice President of the United States. On Saturday, Vice President Kamala Harris held a celebration of hip-hop's 50th anniversary in her very own backyard, which included common freestyling, shown here in a video posted by the Vice President herself. Here's what she had to say about the genre's influence on pop culture.
Hip-hop culture is America's culture. It is a genre. It is music and melody and rhyme.
Yes.
And hip-hop is also an ethos of strength and self-determination, of ambition and aspiration, of pride, power, and purpose.
I was there, too, along with my next guest, known commonly in the ATL as Aaron 3000, but to you as Aaron Haynes, MSNBC contributor and editor-at-large for the 19th. Aaron, we got out of the rain together after Saturday, but I have to say, you've done some really great work on Vice President Harris. You've done some very great work on how she's looked at and what her influence is and how she's a lot of times kind of underestimated. Just talk a little bit about how significant it was for the Vice President to have a party where Lil Wayne showed up at her house and she was dancing to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely quite a moment in the Vice President's tenure. But look, I think, as she said, she wanted to celebrate this most American musical genre in the highest offices, really legitimize hip-hop as the cultural statement that it is at this 50th anniversary milestone. And so I think because of her identity, she's somebody that grew up in the hip-hop era, literally talked about how she took 2 short mixtapes to Howard University. Don't think we ever saw a Vice President of the United States make that kind of a statement, but that's who she is, and she wanted to bring that to the White House, to the Vice President's residence. And so, yeah, but definitely not something that I thought we would have seen during his tenure, but something that absolutely makes sense given who she is, given where hip hop is.
Oh, yeah, we never thought hip hop would make it this far. But the other thing, Aaron, is I was amazed, given some of the negative comments and memes about Vice President Harris and her connection to the African-American community, I thought it was fascinating that you not only had just sort of mainstream entertainment, Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick, but having somebody like Lil Wayne, who has some occasionally controversial lyrics, having somebody like Fat Joe, who has some occasionally controversial lyrics. What does that say about the branding of the Vice President, that she's like, look, I can have people who talk about police, people who talk about sort of graphic issues, and I can still appreciate that and maintain my prestige as Vice President of the United States?
Really, Jason, you're not going to bring up Too Short? You're not going to reference that? Okay.
I was going to do that, but I was going to give it to you.
As an ATLian, just want to say, I was personally celebrating the 15th anniversary of the recession. Just need to put that out there. Very much appreciated Jeezy's presence and the South representation as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop. But look, I think, something else that she said during her remarks, she talked about how, this is the music of the streets. This is, Black folks telling stories about their realities, right? And sometimes that reality is not always clean. It's definitely not always sanitized, but that doesn't mean that it does not need to be expressed. That does not mean that it is not also part of the art form. And so I think, choosing to include that, I'm sure maybe, there might have been some folks that preferred that some of the profanity might not have been used on that stage. But again, these are artists that are reflecting their realities, that are reflecting the realities of millions of Black Americans who, by the way, many of whom happen to also be voters.
I want to add, there was recent conversations on Face the Nation where the Vice President talked about why people attack her. I just want to play this sound really quick and get your thoughts on the other side.
Which week of pregnancy?
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe versus Wade.
You know why I'm asking you this question, though, because
we're not trying to do anything that did not exist before June of last year.
Republicans say the lack of a precise date in cutting it off. You know this. They say that allows Democrats to perform abortions up until, birth.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is statistically not accurate.
And it's ridiculous.
We're right up on a break. Talk about how important it is that the vice president could be from both that event to answering these key questions about abortion, given how important it's going to be in 2024.
Because you can be somebody that's of the hip-hop generation who also is somebody who is concerned about the issue of reproductive access, not unlike many voters in this country. So she's somebody that can speak to these issues, and she's speaking to an audience that is also holding both of those issues.
Thank you so very much, Aaron 3000, Aaron Haynes, for joining us this evening. This is Jason Johnson on The ReidOut. We'll be right back after this break.